This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for How to Super Age with Elise Marie Collins. And Elise, we keep getting off track every once in a while. So we want our listeners to know that, yes, we are still podcasting, and just sometimes we do it on a different day, a different time. And so it gets posted at a different day and time. But welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It is raining here, and I wanted to just again talk about my book, Chakra Tonics, because this is a good time to be drinking some nice hot tea, which you'll see me with my mug. You may be dehydrated if you're feeling tired or just low energy. Sometimes hydrating with especially tea as we go into fall and winter. And I've got some great recipes in this book, some yoga tips, and I'm really excited for our guest today because she is also a yoga teacher. In case you're in the Bay Area, I know a lot of our listeners are tuning in from around the world, but I'm teaching a workshop this Sunday in San Francisco Bay Area. So my email should be in the link. Hit me up if you want to know more about it. It's yoga and sound healing, and sound is so important for our healing, for resonance. And I'm sure Diane knows about that as well. She's also a yoga teacher. And I'm so excited to tell you a little bit more about our guest. So I'm going to introduce her. She is a yoga instructor and author, and she strives to balance the physical poses with the other limbs of yoga in order to promote a healthy body, mind, and spirit. And that's what we need as we age, as we move through life. One of the most effective tools she has found is integrating visualizations into her yoga practice. Her book, Pathways to Peace, 20 Visualizations to Enhance Your Yoga Practice, is a collection of her favorite visualizations. This practice has greatly enhanced Diane's life, and she seeks to share this tool with others on their journey to be more focused and in a peaceful state of being. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Diane. I'm so excited to hear more. Oops, sorry. I hit mute my video. Yeah, tell us, how did you get into visualization? Not all yoga teachers are into visualization. What led you to that avenue of yoga, which actually just means union? I always remind people, because sometimes people think it's all these crazy put your foot behind your head pose, but no, it means union. So tell us what you think is yoga, or your definition of yoga, and how did you get into visualization?
Okay, so a couple of things. So union of body and mind, and for me, spirit as well, would be my definition of yoga. How did I get into visualization? It probably really a combination of factors over the years. I started doing yoga and I stayed with the same instructor for many years, and she oftentimes at the beginning and at the end of class would offer just, some sort of brief, because I think most teachers do that to some extent, like something that you're visualizing or you're clearing your mind. But she would sometimes offer more like a guided meditation. And so I really began to resonate with that. And then sometimes as I was practicing, that visualization would come back to me, and I could find myself, using that to enhance the pose or to clear my mind. I have a very difficult time clearing my mind. We're so busy and so much outside distraction and everything. So sometimes, especially in the beginning, for me, quieting my mind was really difficult. And so it was kind of almost a bridge between the two. It's like, okay, first I shifted my thoughts to, whatever the visualization might be, an ocean, a mountain, the grass, or whatever. And then after that, that helped me get to that clear mind, which would help me just, get to that peaceful state of being. And I have to say, I smiled when you talked about the sound healing workshop, because I recently just experienced that for my first time. And I really had a lot of questions about what it would be like, but it was wonderful. So when you said that, I'm like, oh yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. So, what got you into yoga in the first place? How did you start your yoga journey?
So I will have to admit, I was one of the resistant ones. Um, I always liked to work out and did it as stress relief. And I started to have, after my second child, lifting and all of that, a lot of back pain. So around the same time where the health facility that I went to, they had a new yoga teacher and everybody kept telling me about her. And so finally I tried it and I actually found that I could resonate, with her and with her type of yoga. It wasn't about putting your leg behind your head and all of that, like you were mentioning earlier. So that helped me tremendously. But there was some time when basically the two exercises I could do were walking and yoga because of some of the back pain, and I did eventually have surgery. But I thought that during that time that I was going to gain weight and be really stressed out, and because I didn't have my big like boot camp type workouts. But obviously I found the opposite. I found the physical release and benefits as well as the stress relief.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I had a back injury at this job I worked at, and I didn't have insurance at the time, and the place didn't have insurance, workers' comp. And so that's what led me to yoga, and I really loved it and resonated with it, and it helped me with my back pain as well. So visualization, is there I know you may not know research, but what are the benefits that you could speak of in your life, and maybe with your students, like what have you experienced? And that's also often more interesting than sometimes I like to hear the research because reminds me that it's good. But I think hearing your stories and your student stories, tell us something about the benefits of visualization.
Okay, so there's a lot of benefits, and there's also a lot of benefits of doing yoga, and a lot of them really do overlap. So they do connect that way. So it's very natural connection. One of the key, I don't know if you call it research, but there's a part of the brain that you actually can fool through visualization. So even though if you're visualizing it, there's a part of the brain that for a few moments thinks that's the actual event. It can't distinguish the difference. So if you think about like a food that you absolutely hate and like pretend you're biting into it, you still make that face, you still have that physiological reaction to it. You might scrunch up your face because you don't like it at all. Or we've known, I mean, for a long time, people experience a traumatic event, car accident or fire or something like that, and they can immediately be back there with the negative emotions or the panic, the heart racing. The body can have that physiological response. But you can use that the opposite way through visualizations. If you are experiencing a outdoor scene by the water or walking through the woods, and you're visualizing that, your body can have the same calming effects as if you actually were doing it. And as a result, your brain builds neural pathways that help recognize that as not a new experience, but as one you've experienced before or more often. And so then it just even becomes easier to access. So that's a little bit of how that works brain-wise or research-wise. There's also benefits to your immune system because we know that stress reduces your immunity. And so by dealing with stress through yoga and or visualization, or better yet, putting them both together, you can, maximize, you can boost your immune system by reducing your stress. Like I mentioned earlier, we have so many distractions, and a lot of them are digital stimulation. And so getting a break from that mentally and physically is really very important to our health. And I think a lot of people, don't realize that, but the creativity, the positivity that comes from just being able to have that break from all of those distractions. And of course, with both visualization and yoga, the breath is very important to that. And that's a key factor in taking that break as well.
That's great. I'd love for you to maybe not right this minute, but how long would it take you, and would it be possible for you to do a visualization on this podcast for our audience?
Yes, I believe so. I have I don't know if you actually want me to go through all of it, but I did pick out a shortened version, and then kind of would explain from there how that would work in a yoga class.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe and I just want to ask a few more questions, and then we can try to do that. That'd be wonderful.
Okay,
We've not
okay.
really done a lot of practice on this podcast, so that would be fun.
Okay.
But why did you write a book? You could have done, maybe it is an audio book, but what what led you to write a book, and anything else about that process? Because writing a book takes time, and it takes, there's a lot. But I know it's also, for me, I've written several books. I always feel like I get like it's a new master's degree. It's my own master's degree. I don't have a diploma, but I learned so much in the process. Tell us what led you to read the book, and what was your outcome for you personally? What did you get out of it?
Oh, wow. So much. That is a lot. So, I mean, I have always wanted to write a book, and was very weird that my daughter one day, she's in college, and she said, "Mom, you should write a book." And because I had never spoken to her about that. And I'm like, "About what?" She goes, "I don't know. I just think you'd be really good at it." So that kind of re-sparked this dream I had, so weirdly enough, another podcast I'd been listening to, they had advertised about a company that helped you publish books. And so I just started researching, and there was this informational webinar within a half an hour or something. And I'm like, "Oh, I'll just go." So then that led me down this path. And now, why this topic? One of the things, when I started teaching yoga, I looked for a resource like my book, because like I said, I had been exposed to some of that and had experimented with that in some of my classes, and I couldn't find one. So of course, I borrowed pieces from, guided meditation, wrote some of my own, and so I knew that, I mean, I felt like that would have helped me a lot as a beginning yoga teacher. So I thought that was something that would be, that I could tackle. I also was, at the time of my life, my empty nest syndrome and all of that, and kind of what's next. And then with the visualizations as well, one thing that for me, as I get older, it's been harder for me to focus. But I think the book was like something, okay, I have this dream, I focus, I have this plan, how I'm going to do this. And I really had to focus my energies, and that, visualization helped me with that. It helps clarify my mind and help me get focused and peaceful, so that it just was a very, very natural process. So that was okay. I think there was a second part of your question.
What did you get out of it? What did you get out of writing the book?
Yeah, so many things. And one of them that wasn't actually writing the book, but it is now, because I'm very much an introvert, and public speaking is challenging for me. So just putting myself out there and having to market and reach out and talk about myself, that's very difficult. And I do truly believe it's not about, where you get, it's the person you become along the way. So that has been very important for me. And then just doing something that was, it was a risk. I have a full-time job. I've, raised my family. All of those things were very familiar. And I just felt like I needed to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. So that
I
sense of
love
accomplishment and, people saying, wow, you really, did it. I mean, I didn't do it for the external rewards, but, or for the external praise like that. But, it's like, yeah, I really did. And a lot of people talk about it, and not everybody has the opportunity to actually follow through with it.
Yeah, that's great. It didn't stay a dream. So super agers, don't keep those dreams inside, make them
Exactly.
real. And I wanted to highlight something you said in the first part of the question, because you mentioned, I think, hopefully I didn't get this wrong, but I think I heard you say that as you have aged, you noticed it's harder to focus. And that's, I don't know if you have studied Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga, but we go into the Vata, more of the air stage as we age. And that's not necessarily a negative thing. We become more, like lighter in our consciousness, and air, has different qualities. But I always tell my students right now, this time of year, look at the leaves, they're moving around. So our attention might be, I'm making gestures with my hand, like a leaf that's blowing in the wind. So I think you've really tapped into something that I hadn't really put together, but visualizations are very powerful as we age, because they help us to continue to cultivate that ability to focus. And I'm somebody, focus is challenging for me. That's why I gravitate to visualizations. And I was like, I got to get this woman on my show. I got to get her visualizations into my yoga classes, because, we also attract like-minded people. So my students are more sensitive, and, they really thrive on just the few visualizations I do, but I'm really excited to start to integrate your visualizations into my class. So I wanted to highlight that for everyone. And yeah, I think maybe we should just go ahead. Do you have any questions, Karen? We could do the visualizations, and then I might have
Nope. Yeah,
couple
let's
more
go ahead
questions.
and do it. Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I am going to just open my book just so in case I get stuck, I have a reference here. But
Yeah.
so the one I'm going to do a piece of is the ripples on the water. So I'm not going to go through all the breathing, but if people just want to take a couple cleansing breaths in their nose and out their mouth, just to focus here today a little bit, and then kind of start to shift your breath so it's coming in your nose and out your nose, just to relax your body and clear your mind. And so I would like to place you, and it's up to you if you want to close your eyes or keep them open, just be comfortable. But think of yourself by a body of water, such as a lake or a stream, and for a moment, just consider what is surrounding the area, the grass, the trees, the rocks, whatever it might be. And I want you to imagine that you're skipping stones or throwing rocks into the pond. And as you throw the first stone in, you notice at first when it hits the water, there's that ripple effect where the ripples are very close together, and then they gradually dissipate so that they're further and further apart until they disappear all completely. So I would have them take a few minutes and do, or a few breaths and do that. And then now as you're throwing the stones in, before you pick one up and look at it and give it one of your worries or your concerns, and then throw it into the water and watch as it's really close together and you really feel that worry or concern, but then watch it as it travels further away and then just disappears completely. And so then you're ready for the next stone, and you look at that one, and maybe that's a to-do list or another worry. And again, throw it into the water and just watch it hit the water, watch all of the effects it has on the water. But then in just a little bit of a time, the ripples get further and further apart. And again, that worry or that concern is gone as well. So continue like that for a few moments. There will be a couple minutes of quiet where you can just keep considering those items that you're trying to cleanse from your body or to get rid of. So obviously there I would pause, and then before we would open our eyes or come back to, I just say something like, so now, all of those items that were really on your mind for now, for the next hour or so, they've been released into the water. And so you have a clear mind, you have your breath, you can focus on your breath, your practice, and just that purity or that clarity. Then I would lead them back into the room. And as I went through the practice, like my book doesn't give examples of like every pose or sequence that you would do, but some of the cues that I would use would be like on the inhale, see how close those ripples are and tight and tense. And on the exhale, see them drift away. So that could be for any pose. One of the examples in this one is that for warrior 2, and so they're looking over their fingertips and they're seeing that body of water, but for whatever parts of their body might be tense, like that is like the ripples close together, and then as they sink into the pose, the ripples are getting further and further away. Or the reverse is they imagine the ripples getting further away, and that allows them physically to sink into the pose at a deeper level.
I love that.
So one thing I will say, I know you said that, and I hope you do, you wanted to integrate some of those or some of the visualizations into your yoga practice. So when I, did the examples and things, I included everything, and I fully realized, sometimes we always are trying to balance how much we talk and how much, how much quiet time. So I've given everything basically that I might possibly say, and I'm not saying that, you need to say it all or it all needs to be a part, because there's always those physical cues that you're giving as well. And then I guess when at the end or during Shavasana, I would go back to the visualization and just ask them to kind of think about, where they were when we started and how our body has changed, how our mind has changed since we first threw that first stone into the water, and to kind of appreciate that. And then there's always some kind of, call it a booster or an affirmation. So like this one is, letting go of tension has positive ripple effects on my body, mind, and spirit.
Wow, that is incredible. And it's something I sense that will stay with me. Like we call it in yoga, we often say bringing our practice off the mat. So some might not know that if they're not yogis, but it's like we do all these things on our mat, and then do we become this like angry, crazy person off the mat? Sometimes we do, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, we're human. But what I love about that visualization is I could see myself doing it during the day. It's like you said, it sticks with you, and the way your teachings are, you start with it, you go through it. So it really reinforces that we could start to think in a different way. It really changes our mindset. Yeah. And I wonder how Karen experienced it, if you have any questions or comments.
Well, it's interesting. Quite a number of years ago, I went through biofeedback. And so the visualization was very much part of the biofeedback. And I struggled with it back then. But I've now taken a positive intelligence course, and I'm using visualization numerous times of the day. I'll catch myself starting to get angry or anxious about something, and I'll just shift my vision. If I can't visualize it outside, I'll switch my vision to a blank wall or close my eyes. And you don't have to do it very long. You know,
Mhm.
it's just enough to let your body start to relax. And so you can, sense that, hey, yelling at that person on the phone isn't going to help me. So, let's become nice right now. So love it a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think good point with because what I said earlier about the brain building those um, connections, I absolutely can get to that point quicker than I used to be able to. It's like all of a sudden, I mean, the breath helps a lot too, but oh yeah, there's that, I'll just let it go. And I see the little water for just even a couple of seconds, sometimes seeing it move away. And it really is quite powerful.
Absolutely.
I love it. And
I loved,
go ahead.
I loved what you said about, you could see it coming to you different times in the day, because one thing I've tried also to emphasize with two people is just, if you're not going to use the book, if you haven't tried yoga yet, you can use the visualizations for anyway as kind of guided meditations. And I think, that may be something in the future for me where I would just write them as a guided meditation, and maybe do like the audio like you had mentioned. But I know that, and this probably from writing your book, when I wrote my book and I'd looked at it so many times, and then I sent it away to the editor, and then, you get your proof copy back. And when I sat down to read it, it had been a while since I, wrote it. And when I just reading it, I was starting to feel more relaxed. I wasn't even really trying to, to participate in the visualizations. I was trying to proof it basically, but I still found my body relaxing.
Wow.
Interesting.
And how did the book, I know like we kind of touched on this before, but I know that it's helped you overcome challenges and reach your goals. And that's kind of tied in with what we said, like, what has the book done to you? Maybe just share with our listeners, because this will help them to get fired up about visualization. We've experienced it. And now just tell us about like some of the positive effects. We talked about positive psychology that you've experienced through even writing your book and doing the visualizations.
Through writing my book and doing the visualizations. Yeah. Oh gosh. I think, I mentioned about just being focused enough to write the book. I mean, I have a pretty demanding job. So there's lots of times when like I'm stuck. I just can't figure out, like, I know it's like right there, but I can't figure out the solution. And so stepping away from it, and whether it's, later that day, but doing some yoga, doing some visualization, walking around the building and visualizing something, it is amazing how much clarity that provides. And it's like I sit down again and, oh yeah, now I know I'm going to do this, this, and this. And so that is a great benefit. Also personal things that I've experienced, like I know as a parent, like it's always hard to like let our kids experience their own pain or consequences, life's challenges as they grow up. So one of the visualizations that maybe I might have even had before I did yoga, I don't know, but like I just would imagine myself on this big fluffy cloud. And even though it was a cloud, it was, fully supportive of me, and I could just like fully relax into it and let my higher power, or, my God, just take care of everything. So I could envision that for myself. And so then I could envision that for my kids, like, okay, let them be on their cloud and they're all taken care of and they're getting everything they need, the lessons they need, they have their own strength, their own, growth and all of that. So that was something that helped me, detach from being worried about my children all the time and wanting to take their pain away. Yeah.
That's an awesome visualization. Like you said, detach. That's something we're all learning to do constantly, continually. And what another great image of, yeah, I'm right now visualizing. I'm like, gotta
Mhm,
come
you're
back
gonna
to the podcast because I'm visualizing some.
yes, that's a good one to help
some
fall asleep too.
clouds.
A couple other ones, like, I mean, a traumatic or a major event in anybody's life is like the passing away of my mother. And I just remember doing some very, I want to say intense yoga, but more of a power flow. But then, in downward dog, you typically pause for a few breaths in that one. And it would be like, at that point, I would just get this clarity of, she's out of pain, she's playing golf in the sunshine. And it was just like, I'd get this feeling that, everything was okay. And just like I mentioned earlier, opening your mind so that you can have those feelings or that clarity is something very important to me. So, I mean, to anybody, I guess it just helps you get there, keeps your mind
Yeah.
open. Mhm.
Yeah. And that's something I find with yoga. It's taking care of ourselves, but also like knowing what is ours to be attached to, so to speak, with that
Mhm.
attachment, and sometimes we're like attached to other people's outcomes.
Mhm.
And no, that's not going to work because we got to let them be them.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So where can people get your book, Diane? Tell us, where we can buy the book, because I think, I love your
Okay.
book.
The book is available on Amazon, and you can get an ebook or you can get the paperback copy. And then I also have an Instagram account, or Instagram and Facebook page. So on those, I try to send out weekly either visualization or something connected to the body and mind growth and union, like we talked about earlier.
I love that. What is your Instagram handle and Facebook page?
Okay. You said that I did send it to you. So if you put
Yeah.
that in the notes, I will, that would probably be the best, because
Okay.
for
We'll
people to
look
write
for
it
it.
down.
I will definitely follow you. And that's a great way for people, if they're still not quite ready to buy the book, they can check out your visualizations and
Absolutely. Mhm.
just get some. Instagram is great too, because it is visual.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So,
instead of,
and also
I was gonna
anybody, I think in the show notes, I sent you my email. So, my author email. So if you email me and say you listened or saw this interview, I will send you, it's about a 10-minute guided meditation video that doesn't involve any yoga. So that is something else. If email me, and I'll send that to you.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. I was gonna say it could stop you from scrolling and instead do a powerful visualization. Sometimes we should be visualizing, but we're like looking.
Absolutely.
So follow her, and we'll link below. So thank you so much for this interview. Really appreciated it, and so much wisdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. And I just want to reiterate, it's so hard, but the importance of taking care of your body, mind, and spirit, because it does make you a better parent, daughter, sister, brother, spouse, worker. So you're worth it.
Well,
Love
thank you
it.
very much. And all that information will be in the show notes. So there's no excuse not to follow Diane at all. So have a great day, everybody.